Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a little 5-game Thursday night slate here before we take a break for that All-Star break. In this one, we are taking a look at the Hornets taking on the Heat in Charlotte. Some best bets and player props in here that we'll be looking at. Nate does have his great article as well on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there. And do like and subscribe to that page, as we got a couple other videos up for you today. We are recording this on Wednesday night, and we will have a couple videos up for you as well on Friday for taking a look at some of the stuff going on All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. So like I said, make sure to like and subscribe and check all those out. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Heat are opening here at -4 in Charlotte. I expect that will be bet up by Thursday morning, probably to 6 points or 6.5, given the fact Charlotte's lost 8 of their last 9 and just lost by 18 at home to Miami. So I don't know if that'll last, but we obviously like Miami at 4 points for sure if you can get it early. Looking at the other 4 games on the slate here, the Bucks are 6-point favorites at home against the Sixers after they were blasted by Boston. We do break that game down in a separate episode today. The Wizards are +3.5 at the Nets, who are coming off a big comeback win at the Knicks at MSG. The Mavericks -2.5 at the Pelicans, who are looking good with CJ McCollum in the fold. And then the Rockets +10 at the Clippers after they gave the Suns a run here on Wednesday night. We're talking about the Heat Hornets, though, and really Miami, a team that has not gotten talked about a lot lately with the big trade happening between the Sixers and Nets, with the Celtics surging and with Milwaukee obviously being the incumbent in the Eastern Conference. But here's Miami just going about their business, posting the best record in the conference. And they have been extremely reliable in terms of betting since they've gotten Bam Adebayo back. They've been a team that you definitely want to back. Their defense has been fantastic with him, one of the most switchable, versatile bigs out there. Won 5 of their last 6 with the second best defensive rating, giving up under 100 points per game, holding opponents to the second lowest field goal percentage and third lowest 3-point percentage. Yet they give up most of the percentage of their points off threes and off free throws, aka they give up nothing in the paint. In fact, they give up the fewest paint points by over about 3 points per game when they're on the road this year. So Charlotte is gonna have to hit their deep shots here. They've been taking a lot lately, but have not had much success, especially at home. They're shooting 26% from 3 in their last 6 home games, and that has led them to lose all 6 here, including, again, they lost 104-86 to Miami on February 5th. Then if Tyler Hero might not be active for this game, he did combine for 66 points with Jimmy and Bam Adebayo. You said Jimmy Butler is slightly questionable here. I expect him to play, but honestly, even if he's out, I think that the Heat with Bam Adebayo, with Kyle Lowry, there's just and they have plenty of depth on the wing. There's just such a culture of winning that I would favor over this Hornets team, which is just grasping for straws at this point. I guess I mean it's just crazy how much their pace changed in their last 3 games to say, well, we're not winning when we tried to slow it down and play better defense, so let's just go really, really fast. And their last 3 games have averaged 250 now. They went to overtime and lost the Wolves. But it's really a clash of styles in that sense because Miami's held opponents to a pace of 94.5 in their last 10 road games. They're 27th in pace in those situations. So I don't know if I'm going to bet the total at all, but I certainly would take the Heat at 4, 5, 6 points probably without needing to tease it at that point. But if it gets up over 6 points, I would look at ways of juking that with the money line, with some player performance doubles or with another game.
Yeah, Yeah, that all sounds good. I mean, at the end of the day, I just like the Heat to win. To your point, Jimmy's questionable. Hero's questionable. That's fine. Really, yeah. At the end of the day, what we're realizing is, I mean, look, Jimmy Butler is probably the most important player on this team because he's the best two-way player, on the team. But Bam is so important to everything that they do, considering how much their defense relies upon nobody being allowed to score in the paint. And yeah, what we look at with the matchup here, it starts to me with the fact that Gordon Hayward is so important to this team, right? I mean, they're 3-8 this season without him, 26-22 with him, and I think 4 to 8 games above 500 is what this team should be on the season, competing for that 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, and that's predicated super heavily on Gordon Hayward and how much he's playing. So I think everything that they like to do, as you mentioned, playing really fast, it helped them win earlier in the season. And yeah, there was that huge losing streak for them where their offensive rating dropped and their defensive rating got a lot better. But really, you can probably assume that their defensive rating getting a lot better. It used to be based on the fact that they were going slower than they were earlier in the season, right? Their pace did drop from about the second fastest in the league to closer to about 10th or 11th. But in their last 3, like you mentioned, they've gone just way above that, playing at ridiculous paces of like 108, 105, 104 in those games and going over. It really is about what they're also doing at home, which is odd how bad they are on offense at home with that second worst offensive rating at 99. Still playing at a fast enough pace in those games, at the 5th fastest pace in their last 6 home games. They've lost all of those, but still somehow only scoring 99 points a game, and that's hugely in part due to the fact that they have the worst 3-point percentage in the league. And Miami, yeah, that you don't score on them really anywhere, to be honest with you. You might be able to get a mid-range jumper, I suppose, but they're not giving up threes and they're not giving up buckets in the paint. As in their last, for them right now, especially on the road, they give up the third best, really the third lowest opponent 3-point percentage at 29%, which is about what those Hornets are shooting at home in their last 6 at about 28% right there. So yeah, I mean, look, Gordo being out means more points for LaMelo. That's why we've been able to hit on his props the last couple times that we've hit on those points. That's especially where he gets a lot more shots up, a lot more 3-pointers up. But it hasn't worked out for them in any of those cases. As even when they're in those last 9 as well, 2-6-1 against the spread. And in a place right now where Miami is a top 3-4 team in the East without question, easily top 4, just depending on where you put them in that top 4. And a huge part of that is Kyle Lowry, who compared to we mentioned Gordon Hayward's the record of the Hornets without him. Without Kyle Lowry, it's almost as bad as without Bam Adebayo as well for them, especially because of the point of attack on defense and the fact that that 3-point percentage, the opponent 3-point percentage that they're able to keep teams to, is hugely in part of the fact that he's able to be out there controlling the entire top of the key there. So yeah, look, the spread right now is 4.5, and we are telling you to jump on it. But the reason it is at 4.5 is because of the fact that Jimmy Butler is still a bit questionable. And between he and Hero, if one of them doesn't play, I think this spread stays where it is. I think one of them does play, and I think they only need one of them to make sure that they get this game. I am leaning under as well, just because of the fact that offensive rating and those points are so bad for the Hornets, and what Miami does on the road on defense is impeccable in the fact that they've been able to keep the Hornets last game to 86 points at home with everybody in a game where Gordo actually had 0 points in 20 minutes because he was slightly hurt in that game as well. But yeah, I think all of that just spells probably an under and definitely a Heat win, and I think 4 points is plenty for them to be able to cover.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, yeah, I would also lean under, but I think it's because of the Heat defense shutting down. The only thing the Hornets can do right now, which is, rely on those 2 point guards, LaMelo and Terry Rozier. And they're the same position that Miami's actually shut down for about 3 years now, been top 3 in terms of points allowed to point guards. And now they have Kyle Lowry, who's just a bulldog on that end. Yeah. They're giving up the second fewest points per game to point guards. So if those guys aren't getting hot from deep, then Charlotte probably not going to be able to score. I mean, Miami does have some trends that are pretty notable in terms of going under in division. They take the money from the smaller kids on the block in the Southeast, and they've gone under in 3 of their last 4 on the road. Obviously, one of those in Charlotte, another one in San Antonio, another team that will try to push the pace and get into a shootout, and Miami just says no. And then also shutting down New Orleans in CJ McCollum's debut, and they've been red hot on offense since then. So I think there is more of a chance of the Heat bending their will to this game so that we see the pace come down below 100, and that the Hornets aren't able to get to that wheeling style that allowed them to go over in their last three. But that's all speculation, and what we do think is that the Heat are going to win. So again, get your money down on that in whatever way, shape, or form makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And look, if you want to add to it, I know I'm just going to hit that by itself. I don't need to get cute with it and start parlaying and teasing. I'm just going to hit the Heat, with that 4.5 point spread. I'm also, the thing about the total is, since I do feel so confident about the Heat, I think we all do. You also consider the fact that on the road, they're doing that by playing at a pace of 94.5 right now, right? And in their last 10 roadies, that's what their pace is, and they are about 8-2 on the road. So yeah, I mean they're covering on the road. They're playing at a slow pace because they're making the opponent bend to their will. As we mentioned, that in their last three, Charlotte is playing at that blistering pace, and their games are averaging 250 a game. But who are they playing, right? The Pistons, the Grizzlies, the T-Wolves, all playing super fast. The Pistons haven't played. They're more like the Detroit Pistons because there's no D on them, right? So that's why that game went over. Thank you very much. But at this point, you're talking about a team that's looking to win, not by the Memphis game. They were looking to win by getting out fast break points off turnovers. Miami's not looking to win that way. They're looking to slow it down on you. They're going to bend you to their will, and we know that the Charlotte will right now, especially, is go fast, and that's not going to work out tonight in that game against the Heat. So that's definitely a confident bet. And if you feel confident, logic would tell you to follow that maybe with at least a little bit on the under there, as it sits at 226. I feel pretty good about that. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you like and subscribe to that page and check out those other couple of videos we've got for you, and those All-Star break videos we will have for you during All-Star weekend in Cleveland. And until we see you next, happy betting.